him. He wants to show us the best way to go. He wants to show us his will. He wants to show us what's true and what's right. And so we have to yield to him and rely on him when we make decisions. He was the 3rd overall pick for the Charlotte Bobcats. I grew the stash. I went all in, and he was a total letdown. It was devastating. Absolutely devastating.
That is an unbelievable reality that a perfect God would die for me and save me.
And if you know anything about me, I don't like the field goal kickers. Now, I like them as individuals. Some of them have been on the show over the years. Some of them I've met in person, and I love them. They're great people. However, in those types of moments, I don't want to see the kicker.
Welcome to the Unpacking It Live podcast. I'm Bryce Johnson with Luke and Henry, 2 interns in the studio today, and we are fired up on this Monday. What a weekend in sports. As you know, I'm a huge NBA fan, so the playoffs began, but the story of the weekend is Phil Mickelson. Unbelievable, remarkable, fantastic. I can't wait to talk all about it today. And Luke is a huge golf fan as well. And so so many different storylines, so many aspects to discuss today. We want to hear from you as well. So leave your comments on Facebook, on YouTube. We are here for the next hour to unpack sports, faith, and life with the Unpacking It community of sports fans. And we are so glad to be with you. We thank all of our loyal podcast listeners that listen to the show later. We love you as well. And also thanks to everybody that has subscribed to the YouTube channel, our Facebook page. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast as well. We'll do our Unpack This segment in just a little bit. It'll be about focus and how important that was for Phil Mickelson throughout that entire tournament. Just incredible focus. And so we'll unpack that a little bit as well. And a question today too, as you're leaving comments on Facebook, what are some of the questions that you have for us? What are some of the topics that you'd like for us to discuss today? You can leave those on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll see those also on Twitter as well. And then also, what are you convinced of? We'll do our I'm convinced of segment in just a moment. We'll let you know what we're convinced of, but what are you convinced of today? And then at the end of the show, we'll do Tap Drill, some of the fun random topics from the weekend. We'll get to that as well. Before we jump in, let me ask you this. Do you need to get your own health insurance? Well, go to healthmarketgenius.com. Know your options, healthmarketgenius.com. Support them as they support us. Let's say good morning to Luke Heaton in Texas. His Mavs won over the weekend, but Luke, I know you are just as excited about Phil, and so we're going to get into all that, but how was the weekend?
Weekend was awesome. What a sports weekend. My gosh. Now, of course, that has a bit of a homer seasoning to it because my Mavs did win, and that was a ginormous win, stealing game 1 in Los Angeles. But awesome sports weekend. The wife and I went to Galveston, and my family rented a beach house. We were celebrating my sister's college graduation, so we were with them this weekend. And the wife was awesome. She knew, so we were driving back all day Sunday yesterday. And she knew going into the weekend, I made sure to communicate to her, hey, some really important sporting events on this weekend. I really want to be able to pull up my phone sometimes during the weekend and watch some golf, watch some basketball. And she knew Sunday PGA Championship during our drive home.
Ooh.
So incredible wife. She said, hey, how about you can turn on the PGA radio. You can listen to the tournament, and I'll just read. And
there you go.
Almost the entire drive home, she read. I listened to golf, which was an awesome move on her end because normally we like to listen to music, talk. just have some form of communication, but she read, I listened to golf. She was awesome. She supported me really wanting to consume an important sporting event. So shout out to the wife. But besides that, good weekend. How you doing? How you doing, boss man?
Doing great. And so speaking of setting the kind of the landscape for the weekend, I had to do the same with Jody to let her know. All right, so the Lakers 3:30 on Sunday. So I was trying to kind of switch my times around, taking care of Maddie, hanging out with her, and all that sort of thing. So yesterday, the big news. So Jody had ordered something for the man cave, a new addition to my man cave. But guess what it is? It's something for Maddie. It's something for my 21-month-old daughter that I approved of. So here's what it is. It is a Little Tykes basketball hoop.
Ooh.
So here was my thought going into yesterday. All right, so I'm going to get some time in the basement alone, and then later on in the afternoon, I'll be hanging out with Maddie, and we'll set up the basketball hoop, and Maddie will be able to shoot hoops while I'm watching 3 TVs. So I had the NBA on, I had the golf on, I even had the hockey on, Carolina versus Nashville, double overtime. So I'm going all 3 TVs, loving life. And so we get the basketball set up, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, Maddie's gonna love this. Three shots, she's out. She's running around the man cave. She's grabbing my signed Larry Johnson, Muggsy Bogues ball. She's trying to play with that. No.
That's off limits.
Yeah. We got you a little. You have 3 orange balls all available that you can play. So go grab those. Start shooting baskets. And so she would rather take my Mike Minter, Jake Delhomme signed hat. So my man cave is filled with memorabilia, all my favorite players and everything. My plan did not work. It was a little disappointing. And here's the other thing. So now I've got my 3 TVs. I got the basketball hoop right in front of them, thinking, oh, this is a great setup. Well, I walked down there this morning and I realized this is a pink basketball hoop. It's a pink basketball hoop. It is throwing off the color scheme in the man cave a little bit. And so now I'm second guessing the decision that we made to allow this into the man cave.
The sanctum has been infiltrated. The beloved sanctum. So I see what you're going with, though. Now, shout out to Real Men Wear Pink. I was part of that crowd growing up, so I boldly wore pink shirts in elementary school, which was a very, very courageous move. Those elementary schoolers are just ruthless if you depart from the status quo. So, but I see what you're going for. You want to involve Maddie in the man cave. Yep. So yeah, let's make her a hooper. Let's get her in basketball. Let's have her shoot hoops while dad's watching hoops. But it didn't work out. Yet. But I will not knock your try. It is absolutely worth the try, and all hope is not lost. All hope is not lost.
No, it was, but let me just say that the challenge and the skills as a fan that I was, and as a dad that I was dealing with, trying to navigate those 3 TVs. And then Maddie picking her up. Oh no, don't touch that! Don't touch that! And Jody was upstairs. True. All she could hear was me saying, Maddie, no, don't touch that! Don't touch that! Yeah, good shot! Oh wow, look at Phil! No, Maddie! Yeah, no. It was a wild afternoon. So all right, here's what I'm convinced of. I've got so much to share and so much to talk about today. So let's jump in. But I'm convinced we have to start with the fans in Kiowa. I mean, these guys were nuts. There is no question that we have been locked up for the last year, and fans, now that we've been unleashed, we are going bonkers. Yeah. I mean, golf fans normally are, they're the nice clappers, and in certain cities, we'll see some guys go nuts. Maybe up in New York when there's certain tournaments, and I think out in Phoenix, they're usually a little crazy.
Phoenix Open,
Phoenix Open. But these Kiowa fans, let's go. And here, Luke, because we didn't know each other when, plus you were young, when I was, just becoming a golf fan and watching really the glory days of Tiger Woods, that was my guy. So I was a Tiger fan, all in on Tiger. And so Phil always played second fiddle. And so I was not a Phil guy. He was he was fine. I didn't root against him, but there was almost the lovable loser that Phil was for so long. Then he started winning some majors and he broke through. But I was always a Tiger guy. Then what happened was when Tiger got in trouble and all that, I tried to become a Phil fan during that time. I was like, I can't root for Tiger anymore. I tried to root for Phil. I couldn't do it. However, yesterday, I was all in. All I wanted to do, I wanted to see Phil win. Kevin Streelman's former guest on the show, I was happy that he was playing well for 3 days. Did not play great yesterday. That was a little bit of a bummer. Brooks Koepka, I go back and forth on if I like him or not. But I was all in on wanting to see Phil make history. And the way that he was playing, which we'll talk more about, but the way he was playing was so easy to root for. And it was just, I was amazed with how calm, just, each hole, he was just taking it hole by hole. It was just fantastic. And then the fact that the fans were chanting so loud, and then that final scene on 18, I'm convinced it was unacceptable and crazy and awesome and fantastic all at the same time. I was like, oh no, don't hurt Phil. Don't hurt Phil. What are we doing? Are you going to tackle him? Like, get these fans back. What's going on? But then I'm like, bring it in. Come on. This is an unbelievable scene. So let me pause there. What did you make of the fans really all weekend long, but especially at the end?
Well, I was nervous going in because the golf course, I wasn't sure if it was a very patron-friendly golf course in regards to, it's not easy to walk. It's sand everywhere. So I wasn't sure.
Look out for the high tide. It'll take you right out.
Exactly. I wasn't sure how fan-friendly it was going to be. But then on Sunday, watching and listening, and you see how many fans are there and how vocal they are, it was exceptional. Phil described it perfectly. Him talking in the post-round interview saying, when the crowd surrounded him, it was unnerving but exceptional. Because
that's the best way to put it.
He's surrounded. First of all, to be able to hit a shot with hundreds of people surrounding you, that's impossible in its own regard. Then you hit the shot, he hits the green, he walks, he's immediately surrounded. Like, I saw someone's arm in the clip, someone like almost reached for his golf club, and he's walking, and then Brooks, 5 minutes later, gets to the green after his shot. He's walking through the crowd like he's lost. It's totally lost. It was when Tiger won the Tour Championship in 2018 and the whole crowd's walking down the fairway. It's just like that, which we need that in golf. It's unbelievable.
So here is my thought, and correct me if I'm wrong. During the Tiger, they weren't that close. They weren't as close as they were yesterday to Phil. Right?
It's very.
There was a gap.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a gap. Okay, so here, go with me on this. So yesterday, they were so close to Phil. And here's the picture, that kind of the illustration that I saw. Tiger, there's always been an arm length from him. Right? Like he's a little bit hard to almost wrap our mind around. He's not the average guy. He's not a regular guy.
No. But
Phil is a man of the people. And that was on display yesterday. And just the fact that he was literally in the crowd yesterday as one of the guys, essentially, that to me captures who he is and why so many people love him, especially at the age of 50. Well, our intern here today, his dad is 50. And so he could identify, with Phil Mickelson. And there's just that relatability to a much greater degree than Tiger. Tiger's always a little bit, up on a pedestal, so to speak. And Phil, especially at this age, is more that way. And so, yeah, it was awesome.
It's very interesting because it's recent. Because when you really go back and look at Tiger and Phil, one, they didn't always like each other. There was some very real animosity between them. And Tiger, of course, Tiger is robotic in a sense. The short memory,
no question.
In his heyday, in between the ropes. And the way, watching the documentary on HBO, the way his dad trained him, he trained him to be almost just this robotic creature. He's just a killer in between the ropes, just out for blood against everyone he plays. And Phil wasn't like that, but Phil wasn't always as approachable. But the era of social media Phil has been unbelievable. The fireside stories with Phil. He's got a Twitter now, his interviews. Now he talks about his calves. He talks about his thumb, the tip of the cap. Like he has been so incredible embracing this new persona that he has on social media and interviews. And he's awesome at 50. And Phil is just almost a bit. Like there's so many things about him that
become a character.
His coffee, him talking about fasting, his calves, his thumb. There is so much about Phil, and he just embraces it and laughs about it. And he's so easy to root for now because I agree with you. He's the people's champ. He's absolutely the people's champion now at 50 years old. It's so fun to enjoy this side of Phil.
Absolutely. So if you're listening right now, leave your comments on kind of as a fan, how did you feel about Phil kind of over the years? How do you feel about him now? And I can't imagine that anyone was rooting against him yesterday because you have to root for history. Yesterday was historic. And even, comparing it to what Tiger did in 2019, there are a couple, similarities and that's fine. But Tiger's was such a big deal because of the comeback. It was a comeback in some regard for Phil, just because he hasn't really been in the winning mode, especially, well, I guess he was winning in the Champions Tour, which is kind of crazy too. But just to get back into the mix, it's been a while since he's been winning majors. But this story was historic, and honestly, I was surprised that more older players don't do well in golf, and it got me thinking. And I was listening to some of the interviews with Phil, but just the fact that when you've won so much and you get to a certain age, it's like, well, I don't need to try as hard anymore. And I'm sure that many guys feel that way. You've made millions of dollars. You've already won a bunch. Why keep going? And that's kind of why the same question that we ask Tom Brady, like, why do you keep going? And so usually guys, they turn 38, 39, they're out of the NFL. And then golfers are like, I'm just going to kind of chill out, go play the Champions Tour, that kind of thing. But Phil has reinvented himself in every regard: personality, the mindset, the physical. And here's what I'm convinced of. I'm convinced that Phil Mickelson has given all of the dad bod men hope. We have hope that
we do.
Little chunky or big chunky Phil kind of walking around, not in great shape, looked like a stud out there. I mean, he is jacked. He is in shape. And he's hitting it further than the young guys. Where's Bryson DeChambeau? You get out of here. Brooks Koepka, your big muscles in the weight room. Get out. We got Dad Bod reinventing himself and winning the whole thing. It is unbelievable. So I got a loose fitting shirt today, but look out. I'm getting on the Phil Mickelson workout regimen, and I'm going to come in here with the tight shirt, yoke in just a few weeks. Look out.
Oh my gosh. Beware of it's a new era. It's the summer of Bryce. It is the summer of Bryce. He's going to hop back in that lap pool. He's going to dip in the fountain of youth. He'd get back into the freestyle 100-meter butterfly, all that. The calves are going to be activated.
You got to activate the calves.
Activate the calves.
Phil did it.
So I am convinced. I have some numbers to back this up. I'm convinced that Phil's PGA Championship win is more impressive than Tiger's Masters win in 2019. Now, I will acknowledge, from a golf standpoint, I think it's more impressive. I understand the narrative, the comeback, Tiger, obviously significant life events in Tiger's life, the emotional side of it, to even be able to come back and win is absurd. But from a golf standpoint, it makes no sense that Phil was able to go out to win. So the metric I'm using is strokes gained, which is a metric that golf uses to basically from different, like from the tee box, putting, all this. These metrics track how many strokes are you gaining on the field. So I'm looking back. Tiger entering into the 2019 Masters. Now it'd been 11 years since he had won a major, which is absurd. But he had won the year before, 2018 Tour Championship. Phil, it's been 8 years since he won a major and 2 years since he won it all. Phil was outside of the top 100 in all of strokes gained categories, from the tee box, putting, approach shots. He was all outside the top 100. Tiger entering in to the 2019 Masters was 6th overall on tour in overall strokes gained. Like, Tiger was playing well. Like, he was in good form. So it wasn't absurd that he won the Masters. Just narrative-wise, it was incredible. But Phil was not playing good golf. He was playing bad golf. And he was not in good form. Plus, Kiowa Island, the longest course in major championship history. Phil is 50 years old, out driving 25 and 30-year-olds. Phil had the longest drive of the weekend on Sunday, 366 yards, which is laughable that he's able to do that. So I think with the state of Phil's game, how hard Kiowa Island was, Phil being 50 years old, I think it's more impressive. I'm convinced that it was the golf side of all of this. I think it's more impressive Phil winning this week than Tiger's win at the Masters. Tiger's win was more significant narrative-wise, but I think golf-wise, it made more sense that Tiger could have won that. So that's what I'm convinced of today.
That's all right. I like your take on it. I think for me, I was sitting there soaking in the historicness of the age to think how long golf has been played. And we're talking about what is it, Old Man Jones or something from the 1800s. Like that's who we're comparing this to. So to me, I'm like, wow, like that this is a big deal. And then here's what I also thought. I'm convinced this gives Tiger motivation.
That's right. This guarantees Tiger winning another major.
Absolutely. He's coming back. We better believe it. I mean, who knows how injured he is. They might talk about him being robotic. He may literally come out as a robot, but he will be back out there and he will win and be the oldest ever. This is the motivation that he needed. So not only are dad bods going to be changing all over the place, starting with me, but also this motivates Tiger to get out of that hospital bed. I don't know how he's feeling these days, but he's going to get back out there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some other older golfers as well. You know, some of these guys that have been phoning it in and just playing the Champions Tour or just, showing up for a couple of days of golf at different, majors that they qualify for all these years later, those types of situations.
Yeah. Get your body right. Go play golf. But I agree. Phil, another reason. I mean, this is the official stamp on the form of Phil's the people's champion. Phil knows the people want Tiger. So Phil goes out and wins knowing that Tiger's not going to be able to handle Phil having one up on Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
So Tiger's coming back. It's going to be Cyborg Tiger coming back, winning another major. I also love the boldness, you carrying the baton. All the dad bods out there of hope, starting with me.
That's
starting
right.
with you, Bryce. You are blazing that trail. You are following up Phil's success.
I made my debut at the pool this summer, and I've got some work to do. There's no question about it. All right, so let's shift gears. We still have so much to unpack in regards to yesterday's win, and one of the most important topics will be about the thumbs up. So we'll have to talk about Phil's thumb. We'll do a full breakdown on that in just a little bit, but let's get serious for a moment. And I think so. We'll do our segment, Unpack This. We take a sports story related to the Bible, related to our own lives, and this goes out Monday, Wednesday, Friday through email form, and I write about these topics, and so you can subscribe to Unpack This for free on unpackingit.com. And today, this afternoon, I will write about this topic. So right now, we get a chance to kind of work through it, do some kind of workshopping on this idea. But very simply, I want to talk about focus. And I want to talk about how Phil Mickelson decided that his mental game had to change. And, we talked about his physical side of things. Yeah, that was important. That helped. Like that helped him, drive the ball longer and compete with some of these younger players. But why did he win yesterday? He won because of focus. He won because his mental game was on point. Now, the funny thing for us as fans, we have no idea what was going on in his mind, but we could see it play out because even, think about it. On the first hole, he had a bogey. Mm-hmm. Didn't bother him. Kept going. And then how about, what was it, hole number 5 where he's in the bunker? That could have derailed him. But no, he was so locked in. He was so focused, and he knocks it in with the shot of the weekend, the shot of the tournament, shot of the year probably. I mean, it's just an incredible shot. And so even the mistakes that he made, he was in the water at one point, all of that, he just kept going. He kept going, and it never derailed him. And he had this calmness, just this demeanor, the way that he walked the course. Of course, he would acknowledge the fans, but they didn't derail him. They could have, all the hype, and he's used to hearing the tiger roars on the other holes. These were all his fans. What was it? 90% of the fans there were cheering for Phil. Maybe 100%. I don't know. I don't know who anybody else was rooting for. Yeah. So we'll talk about Brooks maybe later, but so here he was focused, and he talked about his mental game. And to your point, Luke, too, even though he wasn't necessarily playing as great in recent tournaments, he kept this process of recognizing, okay, these are the mental strategies. This is the type of focus, the type of, I don't know the full scope of what he was doing, meditation and all these different things that you work on for your mental game. You have mental coaches, you talk to psychologists, all those sort of things impact your mind. But I think oftentimes in sports and as fans, we're only focused on the physical attributes and what guys are doing from a performance standpoint, whether it's in basketball and we see the threes, we see the dunks and all that sort of thing. But it's the mental focus. Why do so many guys struggle at the free throw line? It's mental. And why do so many guys that are so talented at golf, they never get to that next level? They never become a champion. It's all about the mental game, and it's all about focus. And so for us as followers of Jesus, and as we explore this from a faith perspective, the mind is very, very important. And of course, we talk about the heart, and we talk about the spirit, and thankfully when we receive Christ, we receive his spirit. And so that's what leads us and guides us. But they're all connected: the heart, the spirit, the soul, the mind. It's who we are, but we can't overlook the mind. And so oftentimes we'll talk about, man, I'm struggling with anxiety, worry, fear, anger. These are all emotions, but if we would kind of focus in on our mind and, okay, what's really going on in our mind, and take that seriously and start there, those things start to take care of themselves to a certain extent. And so why was Phil, walking around with such confidence and peace, and kind of taking it one hole at a time, one stroke at a time, because he was focused. He was locked in, and he was in the zone, so to speak. And so I think as followers of Jesus, we have to each day fill our mind with scripture, fill our mind on things that are true, because all throughout the day, we are going to be bombarded with distractions, lies, the negative emotions of life, the negative thoughts that enter in. And so we have to start with what is God truth, biblical truth. Like, that's what has to be our focus. And then, as we walk and live throughout the day and throughout our journey, where does our mind go in the quiet moments throughout the day? And where is our mind when we're at work, when we're with our family? Are we present? Are we in the moment? Or is our mind always racing? And where is our mind going? Because if Phil's worrying about the holding up the Wanamaker trophy, or is he focused on just hitting the ball on hole number 11? And so sometimes we have to think about that as well. And what's our focus throughout the day? So here are a couple key verses on this that I think are very powerful. So in Isaiah 26:3, this is the Amplified version. It says, "You will keep in perfect peace and constant peace the one whose mind is steadfast, that is committed and focused on you, God, in both inclination and character, because he trusts and takes refuge in you with hope and confident expectation." So when our mind is fixed on the hope of God, the confidence that we have in him, that our refuge, our strength, our power is in him, and our mind is that way, that's where our mind goes, because it's very easily to drift off into worry and fear, and our mind just takes over and it goes into overdrive. And that's why we have to keep in the mind that is steadfast, committed and focused on God, on his word. And so that's what we have to be intentional about. And then also Psalm 119:15, it says, I will meditate on your precepts and fix my eyes on your ways. And we could go through, there are tons of verses in Romans, you know, the verse about renewing our mind. And so I think that's important as well. And so I'll pause there for a moment, but man, this is I think an important thing to consider. We saw it play out in a big way for Phil. And I think for us, you know, how's our mind game? How's our focus? I'm reading a book by Michael Hyatt called Free to Focus, a little bit more from a work perspective, but so often during the day we get distracted by, you know, notifications and email and all this kind of thing. And are we focusing on what we're called to do each day? And are we focusing on, you know, the work in front of us? And so I think that's another aspect of focus as well. But I think it links back to our mind being fixed on Jesus and fixed on God's word. Luke, jump in.
Man, that's really encouraging. It's important. It's so true. I forget how you phrased it. What's the status of your mind? What's the state of your mind? How's your mind? That's so true. In golf, from the amateur level, from the professional level, like at the professional level, all these guys can go out and shoot 63. The amount of talent on tour is crazy. It's just, I mean, think of how many, like Corey Connors went out and shot 5 under on Thursday. It's really about, can you do it 4 days in a row? Mm-hmm. Where are you at mentally? Chase Koepka, Brooks' brother, called into the broadcast and was talking about Brooks and his mental game and how impressive it is, and was saying what Brooks does is he only thinks about the shot at hand. He doesn't think about implications. He doesn't think, okay, what if this putt goes in? What happens to this? He thinks about this shot right here, quieting his mind. Even when I go out and play with buddies, when you stand over a shot, negative thoughts can get in your mind so easily, and no matter how good you are, you'll hit a bad shot. Negative thoughts and not thinking about what is true in golf can drastically affect your game, no matter how talented you are. So no matter how long we've been following Christ or how mature we are, or any of these things, if we don't focus or meditate on God's word, Scripture's clear. Like when we view God's word as authoritative, it's free from error, it's perfect, God's word is sovereign. God is sovereign. We go to his word because it is the standard of truth, especially when it's so easy. Anyone listening to this, myself included, it is so easy to believe lies. We believe lies all day. We believe lies because we think they'll give us fulfillment, and we believe lies because we have negative thoughts come into our mind all day, whether through comparison, whether through anything. There's so many lies and negative thoughts that can come into our mind, and it's so easy to entertain them and fixate on them and obsess over them and wonder what if and all of this. So we have to constantly meditate on God's word, fill our minds with God's word, because that is the standard of truth. God has revealed himself to us through his word. We know who God is because of his word, which is unbelievable to think of how big God is, how amazing he is, to think that he has chosen to reveal himself to us, people that he doesn't need. Man, why don't we crave his word all the time? Because I know I don't. I wish I did. I wish I could say every day I'm craving God's word, but I don't, which is I have to ask God to help me, because when I'm not in his word, it's hard to really call out lies for what they are and negative thoughts for what they are. So like you were saying, we have to fill our mind. We have to renew our mind. We have to fix our eyes on Christ, on his word, to cancel out and to improve on negative thoughts and lies and all these things that are so easy to believe.
That's right. And we have to we have to analyze kind of our mind, or like do an evaluation regularly. Like what am I really thinking about? What am I really focused on? And am I so focused on work that I'm not focused on my family? Am I so focused on sports that I'm not focused focused on God's word. And so we have to consider, what are we focused on? And what am I distracted by? I mean, I can't imagine what these guys go through on the golf course with the number of distractions. Even the drone. Phil's like, get that distraction out of here. Right?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to deal with that. I want to focus. I can't have this thing flying around. And so they have to overcome all of that, but they're so focused on, okay, I've got to hit this ball, and I can't worry about these other things.
Yeah.
And if there is something, you remove it. And how willing are we that if we're distracted by our phone, put it away. So if we're trying to spend time with the Lord in the morning, yet we're getting our morning emails, we got to put the phone away. We can't bring the phone into that time with the Lord. And let me leave you with this. 1 Peter 1:13 says, so prepare your minds for action and exercise self-control. Put all your hope in the gracious salvation that will come to you when Jesus Christ is revealed to the world. And so to me, that prepare your minds is so crucial too. That before we go out for the day, before we enter into the challenges of life, we have to prepare our mind and almost visualizing how are we going to respond. Because I think that's what golfers do as well. They have to prepare their mind before the tournament. And so are we willing to do that as well? So the value of the mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can't just say, oh yeah, I'm going to walk into this tempting circumstance or this hard circumstance. Yeah, God's got me. Well, yes, that's true. But have you spent any time in his word? Have you been fellowshipping with God? Have you been maturing in your relationship with God, spending time with him, serving him? Like, yes, it's true that God's grace protects us and covers us and leads us, but that doesn't mean it's not cheap. It's not cheap grace or, oh yeah, I'm just going to walk into this. I don't need to prepare. Yeah, God's got me. Yes, but you're going to probably start failing more and more if you don't prepare, if you don't spend time in the word. There's an element of we have to fellowship and spend time with God in order to mature, in order to be stronger, in order to be able to go into difficult circumstances and succeed. Just like a golfer. Like Phil, one of the most naturally gifted players of all time. At age 50, we're seeing he's also one of the hardest workers we've ever seen. You can't just ride talent. You have to prepare. Just like in our relationship with God, we have to spend time in his word. We have to fellowship with him in order, or we're going to keep failing. And we're asking, okay, why am I failing? It's because we're not spending time in his word. We're not growing in our relationship with God.
Good stuff. There you go. So the encouragement today to unpack, how's your mind game? What are you focused on? And are we truly focused on Christ and his salvation, his hope, in the life that we have in him? And so we can walk boldly and confidently throughout life, focused on that truth. So that's our topic for Unpack This. Be sure to subscribe to the Unpack This devotional if you haven't already. Lot to get to following this tournament. Continue to leave your comments on Facebook and let us know what you thought about Phil's win. And here are a couple other things that came out from the win and some of the interviews that I watched. Wondering whether or not this Phil win, and he talked about this, is this going to be the start of a run, or was this a culmination and this was his one moment to win kind of that one final tournament, and it all came together this one time, and that was it. And I think the one perspective is he's going to enjoy this win for what it is. And I don't think he's necessarily concerned if it does lead to a bunch of other wins, but it's very interesting to at least consider that. Was this truly a breakthrough? And that now he understands that, oh, wow, the changes that I made, the transformation that I've gone through mentally, physically, even personality-wise, has allowed me to win a championship, and a major, that could be something I keep doing. So I'm intrigued by that. And then also we talked about the barriers that older players have to overcome, later in their career. The motivation, like what continues to motivate them, and are they willing to work hard? Like listening to Phil say that, hey, it's a little bit harder at this age to get to the level that you need to do, and wondering, okay, why don't more guys do that? And will more guys do that? And then the question becomes, is more impressive when a young athlete does something or when an old athlete does something?
That's a great question.
And the truth is, we see the young athlete probably do it more often, right? We see guys come into the league and whatever sport it is, we see 19, 20, 25-year-olds accomplish, incredible feats. But it's more rare to see the older guys. So where does that kind of land for us as sports fans? And then along with that too, how do we feel? Because what was so interesting with so many people rooting for Phil, this is not the same case when it comes to Tom Brady and LeBron James. What they're doing at their age is also remarkable. Now, the Lakers struggled yesterday. LeBron struggled. Stop acting like you're injured every time. Stop whining. Okay, we got all that. We get that. But still, what LeBron is still able to do in his late 30s, and then of course we talked a ton about what Tom Brady's doing at his age. We're kind of tired of both those guys. Oh, if I have to watch another Super Bowl with Tom Brady, a lot of people will say that. Not me. I think it's still remarkable. But with Phil, maybe because he hasn't been winning as often, so we're not like burned out by him. But Phil has already had an accomplished career. So there's the argument, well, what about the young guy? I'd rather see one of the young guys win. I'd rather Brooks Koepka win. But I don't think that's the argument being made. I think the argument is, wow, the 50-year-old Phil Mickelson. That's what we wanted to see, and that's what we saw. So a lot there, but those are some of the other thoughts that I had following the weekend.
So to your first thing, I hope Phil enjoys this win because the next month is going to be one of the craziest golf media months, I think, ever, because he still needs a U.S. Open, and that's in, I think, about a month. So no matter what Phil says, if Phil was going to come out and just say, hey, I don't care about the U.S. Open. I am so excited and pleased with the PGA Championship. I'm 50. I've accomplished. I am satisfied with my career. Even if he would have said that, the media is going to say, oh, Phil, U.S. Open. He won the PGA Championship. He's in good form. Can he get the U.S. Open? He's finished runner-up 6 times. So that's going to be, if Phil wants that, great. He's going to have all of the media giving him that extra motivation to win the U.S. Open. But if he doesn't care, I think he really wants the U.S. Open. But that's going to be fascinating. It's going to be a fiery storm in golf media. So that's what I have to say to that. I think it's going to be it's not going to be a quiet month in golf news because now Phil won. Now he actually has a chance. He qualified for the U.S. Open. It's very, very interesting now.
That's right, because he was getting those exemptions, and it's crazy.
I mean, he didn't want to accept an exemption, but he reluctantly did, and now he qualified. So for the next 5 years.
So yeah, I thought that was important too, because we'll see more of him most likely. So all right, here's the other big topic that I wanted to discuss, and this has been going on, but it was on full display yesterday that Phil has embraced the thumbs up. And so I thought this was hilarious because all day long, we talked about the fans. They were going nuts for Phil, and his acknowledgement for them was the thumbs up. And here's where I come out on it. To me, the thumbs up is still a goofy thing. Like, it's still, when you see someone give a thumbs up, you're like, hey, buddy, hey, thumbs up to you. But it's almost like it worked in that context yesterday. But then I think of Bill Clinton. Like, Bill Clinton kind of used to do the thumbs up thing and kind of ruined the thumbs up in that regard as well. And then I started thinking, okay, well then what is the answer? And for us in day-to-day life, what is your go-to hand gesture when acknowledging someone? And what connotations do certain hand gestures have, right? So here Phil is, this big time golfer. He's winning and he acknowledges his fans instead of just he was still focused, right? We talked about the focus, but still willing to look up and give you the thumbs, not go all in and not give everybody high fives all the time. He was still locked in with a nice little thumbs up. So like for me, when I go through my neighborhood, do I give the full on wave The hands in the air. Do I just point to someone? Hey, I see you. Do I give them the thumbs up? Hey, way to go on walking around the neighborhood. Hey, thumbs up on you and your dog. Or do we do like a salute? What about the salute? Is the salute only for those that have served our country? What about saluting the mailman? Do we do that? No, is that frowned upon? And then does the point is that too demonstrative?
It's got to be that's a little in your face. I don't think you can do it. That's right. I don't think you can casually point. It's got to be an excited, like, you did something, or, oh, it's so good to see you, or like pointing out something great or horrible. I don't think you can casually, like, hey, good morning. Good morning, Bryce. Toss out a point.
What about like when your hands are on the steering wheel and you kind of give the one finger up?
Okay,
on the
that's a
steering
good question.
Wheel.
What are you? Because some people go hand off wheel, big wave. I think I'm more of the 1.5 fingers. I'll kind of toss on the index finger.
Throw in
kind of curl up. Okay, yeah, one of these. Some people go two. Some people are real formal. They'll be riding and they'll bunny ears back down.
Ooh, I think that should be eliminated. The peace. Hey, peace to you. I think we've retired that one. I'm not sure anyone's been able to bring that back.
The casual backwards hand piece. So here's what I'll say.
Oh, the side. Well, that's a little different.
But yeah, the front hand, the 1970s
cool
piece, the Robert Downey Jr. from Avengers movies piece, that cannot be done. Here's what I'll say. I used to be a ginormous head nod guy. So walking around, see someone, toss a head nod. Maybe if I'm feeling real lazy, just an eyebrow raise.
Ooh,
but also
the
head nod and eyebrow raise is used in, I think, uncomfortable situations. One of the most horrendous social interactions of all time is you see someone across a room, but you're walking the same direction, but it's someone that you don't necessarily ever talk to or know, but you have to acknowledge. But it's the walk towards each other. You've got 30 yards of walking towards each other, and you're looking down. Okay, do I say hi? What do I do? Last second, you look up, eyebrow raise, head nod, keep going your way. So in that circumstance, because it's either you can't just, hey, wave, and then 30 yards of walking and then talk. It's just awkward. I think you got to look down, toss up a buzzer beater, head nod, and then keep walking. In addition to that, I've always been a salute person. I toss out salutes, just casual. Hey,
casual salute.
Yeah, casual salute. I've been a salute guy for a while.
I don't know about that. That seems tough. Here's one that I catch myself and I go, what did I just do? It's the waggly fingers.
Oh, no.
Hey there.
Like the Lee Corso.
85? I mean,
the Lee Corso wave. It's the Lee Corso wave on College Game Day.
A little like spirit fingers. I throw a little spirit fingers. And I go, get it back. Get my hand back. What am I thinking? I don't know what happened. I don't know what comes over me. It's almost like if I see, whether it's a woman or a young person, and I just kind of, hey, I don't want to be too aggressive. So it's just like this little kind of finger wave. It's not good. I don't feel good about it.
I understand not wanting to be aggressive, but that is a significant overcorrection.
Yeah, I can't feel good about that one. And then here's the other one that needs to be eliminated, but I don't know what the answer is. So when you're on the phone and you see someone and you have something else in your other hand, and so you give kind of the pinky off your phone. Oh. Hey there. That person should be maybe punched. I don't know. That person, that's unacceptable behavior. Hey, I see you, but I'm on the phone.
I can't get over the fingers.
I'm too important.
That's so funny. So something I've been trying to...
Luke, you must be the phone guy because you're overlooking that. Don't be the phone guy with the pinky out.
I've never been... you got to detach phone and hold up the 1 minute. Yeah. You got to go one finger.
One finger?
That's
I want to break.
So here's something.
I don't want to see that finger in there.
Yeah, here's something I'm trying to make popular: the casual raise your glass to someone, even if you don't have a cup in your hand. The invisible. I don't have a cup in my hand, but yeah, I'll raise my glass to you. Yeah, go ahead. That is very useful because it's very neutral. It's not over the top, but it's not lazy. Hey, I'll tip my head. Yeah, good to see you. especially
the tip the hat.
the
That's
tip of
another
the hat,
one.
which Phil loves too. Phil will go tip of the hat thumb, 3 times in a row after a putt. It's truly amazing how committed he is to the tip of the hat and to the thumb. And he's been doing the thumb forever. There's a Twitter account, Phil Mickelson's Thumb. They just post pictures of any time he thumbs up.
He was trying to get the record one time, like 1,000 thumbs up in a day or something. I saw a video on that, but yesterday it was full force. It was there. And my last one to throw out there is the sup with the chin up sup. I'm definitely not cool enough for the sup, but that was bigger when I was growing up. I feel like that was a common thing. Sup, man, what's up? What's up? With chin.
You gotta subtract the sup.
I don't see that enough.
I think the sup is a must-need elimination. You can go the head nod, but if you say sup,
head nod up,
or you could go the head nod down. I think the head nod down. It's a well-seasoned veteran move. Head nod down, head nod up. It's a little, it's a little amateur, a little young. Yeah.
Hey, what's wrong with that guy with the bobbing head? Yeah, it's risky. You can't do that one. So anyway, I will say I'm a wave guy. So the friendly neighborhood wave, I try to catch everybody driving by. Like when I'm out in my front yard, hey neighbor.
You're just out in the front yard tossing out tossing
out the full on wave. Now sometimes I'll just kind of, just the one across, the one arm across wave. But then you got to be careful. You don't want to jump into the Hitler territory. So
that's very true. Very true.
You have to be very aware of where your hand is going.
That's right. You almost got to have a noodle arm. You can't have it too
floppy. You're struggling. Too stiff. It's an issue. And then when you get the waggly fingers,
fingers. Oh gosh, I'm gonna have nightmares about the waggly fingers tonight. I'm gonna have nightmares. I'm gonna wake up in sweats. Imagine you with the waggly fingers.
That's right. So our interns here are shaking their head. So they still do the sup with the chin up. No,
absolutely.
They don't. I'm kidding. Yeah. All right. So let us know your thoughts on that. Where do you come out on your hand gestures, and how do you feel about Phil in the thumb? There's your show today. We covered a lot.
Got to create our own. We got to be thinking of our own. The unpacking it gesture. You see someone who's a part of the unpacking it community, toss them the gesture. So we'll be brainstorming that.
What about like the kind of the gun? Hey, the Shooter McGavin. We got to bring that back a little bit. Shooter.
Hey,
cut that out. You do that too. So the NBA playoffs also got going over the weekend.
They sure did.
And I will say the games that I watched were excellent. The Wizards game kind of fell a little bit flat toward the end. The Lakers kind of blew it toward the end. But man, a lot of the other games came down to the wire. I know Knicks fans are bummed today. Henry, we're going to hear from in a moment. He's a Knicks fan. Trae Young's tough with Atlanta. That was impressive. I'm not a big Trae Young fan. But I thought that was a big win to go into Madison Square Garden. The Hawks are just shocking people. And then how about the Grizzlies? The Grizzlies are shocking people, knocking off Utah. Not having Donovan Mitchell, of course, was a huge blow for them. Hard to expect them to win without him. And then the Blazers. I like the Blazers. I'm glad the Blazers won. My brother was actually in Denver for that game. Had pretty good seat.
No way.
So cool. I'm sure he was pulling for the Nuggets in that one. And then your Mavs won. So big win for the Mavs.
I'll tell you this. This is a very fun playoffs. So what you were saying earlier, we're rooting for Phil. A lot of people root against LeBron because it's almost for every season for 8 or 9 years. Okay, we know LeBron's going to the playoffs or to the finals. So the Eastern Conference, it's kind of a wash. We don't really care what happened in the Eastern Conference. We know LeBron's going to the finals. It's like, okay, what's going to happen in the West? Now LeBron's in the Western Conference, goes to the finals last year. Okay, now it's what's going to happen in the East. But this season, there's a lot of parity. I love, no matter how much of a committed Mavs fan I am, I love when teams who have not been good start to find success. And when new teams are at the top of the leaderboard. Phoenix and Utah being 1 and 2 in the West.
Wow.
How about that? The Suns building, outside of Chris Paul, basically through the drafting your guys, just like how the Warriors built prior to Kevin Durant, a team kind of rising from the ashes through the draft, really organically, Utah being good. Now, obviously, the Lakers would have been near the top if LeBron and AD had not been injured. So I feel bad for the Suns that they have to play the Lakers first round. It just seems unfair, but it's very fun. And the Eastern Conference is so exciting. If anyone has the opinion that the Knicks being good is bad for basketball, that opinion is automatically thrown in the dumpster. Because
it's also fun to watch them lose. It's fun to watch Spike Lee cry a little bit on the sideline.
Spike Lee, the Garden, New York Knicks basketball, it is so fun. That game, that Hawks and Knicks game was so exciting. So very, very exciting to watch that. Obviously the Mavs, there's just a lot of parity. Us not knowing who's going to win it all is so exciting, which I'm all for. So
I still think it's going to be the Lakers, but yeah, you're right. You're right, Luke. It's wide open. No, it really is. It really is wide open. I don't look too much into the Lakers losing game one. Oftentimes LeBron kind of coasts in that game one. He's done it his whole career. Doesn't mean they always lose, but he just kind of eases into a series to get a feel for things. I think he'll come out playing much better, and I think Anthony Davis will as well. So he didn't play great. But to me, they're still the team to beat. The Nets, to me, just don't have the chemistry yet. They were great. They were great. But for them to win and put it all together to win the whole thing, I'm not there yet. I'm really not. But we'll get into more NBA playoffs next week. Today was kind of a golf day, but a lot of fun breaking down Phil's win. Let's bring on Henry. First up, before we do tap drill, how you feeling as a Knicks fan? I know you didn't want to watch any sports today. So glad you're still a part of our show. We got to give you a little bit of hard time for those Knicks losing game one. Are you trying to do a double? Oh, the double. The double point.
The double.
Oh, wow. The double point, Henry.
All right.
That's a whole new one. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like
you can't forget about the double point.
The double point.
Yeah, you got that. Really good.
But just to talk to you guys about the Knicks real quick, if you saw what the Garden looked like,
electric.
It was insane. Jalen Rose from ESPN said it best. The Knicks are the most popular team in New York City, but the Brooklyn Nets are the most popular team pretty much everywhere else. But it was hard to see. It was hard to see Trae Young go right to the rim with less than a second to go. And I'm like, you guys didn't do anything to him. You didn't hit him. You didn't foul him. You couldn't even breathe on the dude. And he gets right to the rim. And Julius Randle was all sorts of off last night. Couldn't buy a shot at the gift store. And if it wasn't for Derrick Rose and the bench, the Knicks probably wouldn't even be in the game to begin with. But I calmed down and I had to remind myself it's still the first team to force. So we got time.
That's right. No, that's how I feel about the Lakers too. Plenty of time, series. And I think fans will, I guess fans, it's kind of different because every arena is a little bit different, how much the fans will affect these series, but I'm not sure it'll be the same as normal with the home court advantage.
The Garden was awesome.
But the Garden, yeah. So that one might not live up to that theory, but I think in other, because not every arena is going to be packed. That's not the case around the country. So that's interesting. But anyway, Henry, let's do a little tap drill, tap around some of the other topics from the weekend. What do you got?
All right, let's hit tap drill. I've got some breaking news for you guys. I know we normally have a list of what a tap is, but I've got some breaking news that just came over the wire. Aaron Rodgers has not shown up for OTAs today. Not shown up for OTAs at all.
All right, he's living up to the rumor of him wanting out. So until he does show up, yeah, I mean we'll just have to continue to believe that he wants out, and the Packers are going to have to do something. I don't think these OTAs aren't as necessarily as big of a deal, especially financially. But once you start talking training camp, hearing some of those numbers, that's big money, even for Aaron Rodgers to not make if he doesn't show up. But he'll. These are these are optional. So he doesn't get fined as much for these, right? I just think he probably misses out on some bonuses for showing up.
Right. He's not going to miss as much for these, but it's a telling sign of what's to come.
Man.
Certainly is. Well, yeah, it's certainly the bank hit for the Steelers running back when he was missing training camp and games. I mean, that was
Le'Veon Bell.
That was outrageous how much money he was being fined. Oh,
oh man.
And ultimately not worth it. It did not work out for Le'Veon Bell. That was a huge financial and career mistake to leave Pittsburgh and to hold out the way that he did. So
I agree.
We'll see. We'll see what Rodgers ends up doing, and if is it Denver, Miami? Do one of those teams step up and make it happen? So it's going to be fascinating to see.
All right, next tap. Sticking with golf. Phil Mickelson's mom tried to text Phil during the PGA Championship, but not being able to connect with them. What she wound up doing is she wound up texting, I'm assuming is his sister, Tina. And she said, Tina, text Phil and tell him just to par in. Don't hit the bomb or activate the calves, just par. They will have to catch him. He won't listen to his mother. Do you text him? Hurry. And Tina replies, I'll text Tim, his brother. He's the only one Phil is listening to today.
I don't know if this is true or not, but if it is, it's hilarious. And that sounds like something my mom would say too. Just, I'm trying to get through to Bryce. Tell him to settle down. Tell him not to be too much, not go over the top. And so she goes, don't hit bombs or activate calves. That's what Phil does. That's the key. But yesterday it was needing just to remain steady.
If that was her language, to know that the whole Mickelson family is bought in on the lingo, that's incredible. I'm trying to imagine your mom, the version of what your mom would text you, Bryce. All right, Luke, tell Bryce, activate his dolphin kick. Tell him to get under. Tell him to expand the back for the butterfly. Yeah.
There you go. Tell him to fix his hair, something like that. I don't know. All right, Henry, what is it?
Staying with Phil Mickelson. If you are a betting man, as a lot of these people are, especially with golf, there was one unnamed guy who put $1,000 down at the start for Phil to win. He walked away with $300,000. Would either of you guys have put money on Phil at the beginning of the PGA?
No, I mean, Phil had been so off the radar as far as competing to win, especially in the majors. And I think with all these young guys and with Rory playing well lately and Spieth and Koepka coming back from an injury and, of course, Dustin Johnson doesn't even make the cut, but you expect those names. Even Zalatoris, it's like, hey, how well will he play in another major? So, yeah, Phil to me was way out there. So if anybody thought that, good for them. That was a big win.
I would love for this a conspiracy theory to develop where Phil was the person betting, because Phil is a high roller when it comes to gambling.
He joked funds. In one interview. In one interview, he's like, I'm not a gambler, as you know. It was great.
It would be great. Phil if the bet would have been 100,000, it would have been Phil for sure betting. I wouldn't be surprised if Phil put 1,000 on every player in the field and then tried to come out on top. I wonder if the numbers add up. But yeah, because Phil historically, I think he picked like the Diamondbacks to win the World Series at 40-1, crazy odds. But I think he bets on every team and then just posts his correct bet. So I don't know.
Yeah, he seems to be caught up in all that. But anyway, somebody else won. It looks like believing in Phil.
That's right.
So good for them.
All right. Next tap, we'll head back to the NFL. And guys like Drew Brees, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning. These three guys are the only guys in NFL history, the only quarterbacks to defeat all 32 teams. You guys probably know that. But
no, that's cool.
Did you know that Washington football team quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick has a chance to lose almost all of of the NFL teams. The only one he can't lose to this season is the Detroit Lions because Washington doesn't play Detroit this season. So here are the teams that Ryan Fitzpatrick has to play this season. They are the Packers, the Saints, and the Buccaneers. I'm sensing 0-3. What do you guys are thinking?
I would agree. Maybe the Saints. Maybe we'll beat the Saints. But wow, so if he beats all three or loses to all three of those, he'll have lost to 31 teams.
Yep.
That is remarkable. The Ryan Fitzpatrick story is one of my favorites. Just all the layers, the number of teams he's played for, how well he played at times, and then how bad he plays, but then how well he plays again. It's fantastic. It really is.
He's one of the best stories. He's an enigma. He is. It's fascinating. Coming out of Harvard, undrafted, genius on the Wonderlic test, plays for every team in the NFL, loses to every team in the NFL. That's why you're saying to be one of the most electric quarterbacks. Some games go out and throw for 450, and then other games 6 picks. Just crazy stuff. It's amazing. We love it.
That's why he's got 2 nicknames. He's got Fitzmagic and he's got Fitztragic.
Fitztragic.
So what he gives, he also takes away. All right, we got one more. And this is in the world of hockey. The NHL has decided that they're not going to award the conference trophies for the 2 teams that make it to the Stanley Cup Finals, because the players say that it's bad luck to touch the trophy before you touch the Stanley Cup. Right. So my question to you guys is, do you have any sports superstitions?
I'm not real superstitious, but I do like this idea. Like, I always have a tough time when leagues celebrate like the AFC, NFC championship, the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. To me, it's all about the championship. It's all about the Super Bowl. So enough of these like over the top celebrations. So good for hockey on this one. I'm for that. Especially if I'm a player. Baseball too. Baseball, they go nuts after each series. It seems like or the play-in game, the wild card game. So to me, that's too much celebrating. I'm all about celebrating in life. I think we don't celebrate enough. I think we should embrace holidays. So I am a celebratory guy. But in sports, sometimes it's like, all right, you guys are taking out the champagne for a 3-game winning streak. Let's pump the brakes on that. How about that?
There's a middle ground in there somewhere. I don't agree with the really hard-nosed guy that's, so how you feeling? Well, job's not done. Well, you could at least smile, at least say it's cool, at least say you're proud of yourself. I think the Final Four should always be celebrated. I think that's awesome. The tradition of making it to the Final Four, I think that's cool. But if a team, because when Mark Few and Gonzaga, they made the championship game, he's like, hey, we're going to celebrate tonight, and then it's going to be back to work. I think it's a great mentality. But to be the guy that's like, no, I can't celebrate. And unless I win it all, it's a complete failure. You're overcorrecting. I don't really buy that mentality. But I agree, just the mentality of, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing in the world. Now you're kind of losing focus from the ultimate goal. See, there's a middle ground in there somewhere.
That's right. That's pretty good. Henry, great job. Good work behind the scenes as well. And appreciate you. Luke, man, this was fun. Golf is, there's your 2 peace signs. I like it. Golf in the spotlight today. We got the U.S. Open coming up Father's Day weekend. So that's also the same weekend as Man Up Charlotte. So be sure to register for Man Up Charlotte. Whether you're in Charlotte, you can come in person. If you're outside of Charlotte, you can watch virtually. manupcharlotte.org. Awesome speakers, awesome content, men gathering together. It is going to be a really cool and encouraging time. So check out manupcharlotte.com for all the information, and be sure to register ASAP. Would love for you to be a part of that. Thanks to our interns for helping out behind the scenes as well. We got a lot going on here at Unpacking It, and thankful to you for listening and being supportive. We will be back next Monday, 10:30-ish Eastern, and then on the podcast as well. We got some great interviews scheduled for the podcast, so be sure to subscribe to the Unpacking It podcast anywhere podcasts are found. As always, I wrap up the show by saying, I'm Bryce, and I'm a sports fan who follows Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected, and through faith, I've been saved by his grace. I hope that is true for you as well, and I hope you'll join me as we live life as sports fans who follow Jesus together. Have a great rest of your day. The encouragement, again, is to focus. What are we focused on? How's our mind? What are we thinking about? And hopefully that our focus will be on Christ and all he's done for us and all that he's for us each day as we walk with him. Have a great one. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It Live podcast.